This clip covers the Remote Data Fetch tool in WellSeeker Pro. The Remote Data Fetch allows a user to download wells and plans from their organization's remote server database without needing personal login credentials for the server. It is most commonly used during job startup. In the office, the well planner can set up the well on the server. They can create the well plan and the actual well, set up activity and phase codes, and maybe also set up some daily reporting information like the inventory and the well costs. Then when the field engineer arrives on site, they can simply use the data fetch to pull all that information into their local database. This is helpful for the people back in town as they don't need to QC any of that information again when they receive field reports, and it saves the field engineer a lot of hassle at the start of the job. Also, if the field is using the real-time data exchange to push data back to the server, starting the job using the remote data fetch ensures that all naming conventions are consistent between town and the field. To access the Remote Data Fetch tool, open the Tools menu and then select Remote Data Fetch. To connect to a server, the data fetch requires the address and port number for that server's ICDS server. For most organizations, this information will be automatically filled in and the fields will be grayed out. If not, you will need to get the ICDS address and port number from your administrator and then enter them manually. For this example, I will enter the details for our test server. Once you have entered the details, you can check your connection by clicking on the Test Connection button, and the message box will let you know if the connection is working. Whenever you click on the Connect, Fetch Data, or Test Connection buttons, the message box will send back a response to let you know the progress of the data fetch or if there are any problems. Click on the Connect button and the well list on the left will populate with all the actual wells on your organization's remote server database, grouped under their respective operators. By default, you will only be able to see actual wells, not plans. Also, only actual wells that have their status set to upcoming, active, standby, or TD will display. You can change this by toggling the options down in the bottom right. So Show All Wells will let you see all actual wells on the server, regardless of their status. Show Plans will let you see non-principal well plans. And Show Principal Plans will display all the principal plans on the server. Above the well list, you have 4 drop-down boxes that let you filter the list by operator, by well status, by job number, and by rig. You also have a search box where you can search the well list for any of the information shown here. So for example, you can search by well name or by county. In the well list, you select a well for download by clicking on the circle beside its name. You can select multiple wells or plans to download in one go. You can then click on the Fetch Data button to download them from the server into your database. But before you do that, there's some additional options in the bottom right that govern what gets downloaded. If a selected well has any offset wells assigned to it on the server, you can toggle on Pull Offset Wells, and then when you click Fetch Data, it will download those offsets as well. If an actual well has a principal plan assigned to it, then toggling on Pull Principal Plan will download the principal plan along with the well. Lastly, if you toggle Pull Pad on, then when you download a well, it will pull that well's entire facility and all of the wells and plans under it. So as an example, I will toggle on Pull Offset Wells and Pull Principal Plan, and then I'll select the well 3H under Enova Natural Resources, and then I'll click on Fetch Data. The message box will inform me on the progress of the download, and then when it's finished, it'll say Data Fetch Complete. Now I can close the Data Fetch window, and I can see in my database tree, I've got the well I've selected, I've got its principal plan, and I've got all the offset wells that were assigned to it on the server database. One thing to note is that if you download a well or a plan that already exists in your database, WellSeeker Pro will follow the logic for overwriting that you have set up in your WellSeeker import settings, which you can find by going to File and then selecting WellSeeker Import Settings.